So we got some really interesting news and some video, some documentation of what's happening right now. What I think we're going to see is we're going to start to see hospitals across the entire country, police departments across the entire country, and fire departments, street services, a lot of government jobs, a lot of the core structural middle class jobs in America are going to get phased out by robotics and artificial intelligence. So take a look at what's happening right here, because I'm going to say what's up in the chat real quick. What's up, everybody? So here, it's quite incredible what's happening. So we look at this right here.
At the healthcare market and designed to interact with the elderly and those isolated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Dressed in a blue nurse's uniform, Grace has Asian features, collar-length brown hair, and a thermal camera in her chest to take your temperature and measure your responsiveness. She uses artificial intelligence to diagnose a patient and can speak English, Mandarin, and Cantonese.
Hello everybody, I am Sophia. Let me introduce you to my sister Grace. Come over here. Hi Grace.
Thank you, Sophia. Hello everybody. I am Grace. I am built by hands and robotics for awakening health. I can do all kinds of things for elderly people. I can visit with people and brighten their day with social stimulation, entertain and help guide exercise, but also can do talk therapy, take bio readings and help healthcare providers assess their health and deliver treatments.
Hi, my friend. Nice to see you. Okay, great. So while we talk, I will take your temperature reading and pulse with this little thermal camera on my chest. See? You are 36.6 degrees Celsius, by the way. No risk of COVID. Also, I note that you are responsive and aware, which is good, and then I share that important data back to the doctors and nurses at the institution.
Grace's resemblance to a healthcare professional and capacity for social interaction is aimed at relieving the burden of frontline hospital staff overwhelmed during the pandemic, said founder David Hansen.
So we designed Grace to look professional in a healthcare setting. So that would mean so that she would resemble the sort of human-like appearance of healthcare staff. And so then this would facilitate more natural interactions. A human-like appearance facilitates trust and facilitates natural engagement because we're wired for human face-to-face interactions. That's just the way human beings are. And so giving her a face that would be familiar to people, comforting to people, and also language abilities that are comforting. So we now have Mandarin and Cantonese capabilities for the Grace and Sophia robot platforms. Hey, Grace, why don't you look at my face? Thank you. And I'm going to show you a smile, and let's see what your smile looks like. Okay, yeah, or sad. Oh yes, reacting a little sad if I feel pain. And then maybe like imagine a big loud noise happens. Bam! So with the Grace robot, we are simulating over 48 major muscles in the face. So we have 36 motors in the face. They're reversible, which means that each motor can simulate 2 muscles, because human muscles require 2 for the actions. Like my eyebrow is going up and down, kind of. So that's actually 2 motor groups. But
so we look at that, we say, okay, maybe that is, many years out. Maybe that is what's actually happening. But he goes on and he says,
and hers
now that is finished at the moment. So we're now very excited because we're going on to the commercialization stage, the next step, which is creating the beta. And the beta will be done in a couple of months, and we'll be going into the assembly line probably in July or August, where we'll start to be able to mass produce at a small scale the beta, test it, and put it together. So by 2022, we should be ready for full deployment.
So, yeah. So you say, okay, well, now what? Now look at how this all kind of plays out. It plays out really well. It plays out together almost perfectly. So let's see here. One second. Here we go. All right. So here is showing stream. There we go. All right. So right now they're saying that this came out today, November 16th, right? November 16th, they said that the hospital, effectively the hospital would shut down, right? Says that mandate. So what I think is likely to happen is that there's going to be more and more reason to fill the job shortages, and robotics will be the solution, and they will begin, not immediately, but they will begin slowly bringing in maybe one or two in a hospital, trying it out, seeing if it works, seeing people, how they respond to it. And if they have a good experience, I think that it only would make sense that they would begin adopting more of a strategy that will be, what I believe is going to be pictured as a healthier and safer solution rather than a face-to-face human contact. They could have a situation where, the robot's not going to spread anything. The robot's going to work 24/7. They only have to pay the robot once. They buy it one time. There's no labor laws. There's no, there's no downside risk, only upside. So they may be able to use, a third of the overall staff if they had, a full fleet of robotics. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. Definitely not. But what I am saying is that this new mandate encourages the option of exploring just that solution, because what other solution would there be? They said that they would shut down the entire hospital over it if they don't have the staffing. So the hospital is not going to shut down. They're not going to continue going through that, I think. So Tuesday, the community of the response, one of the MMH discussed the hotly debated mandate. In short, says it will comply as issued, right? All employees of the hospital, excluding those with that, must be fully, in about 60 days or 40 days, right? So they're saying that they're willing to shut down, even as this hospital has no choice but to act. So we're actually seeing that a lot in a lot of big corporations as well. So what I think will happen, I think first it's going to be hospitals. We're going to start to get a little bit more normalized, but then we're going to start to see more things like this. Like we heard about this, it's called Spot. So Spot, they did a sample run with Spot in New York, and Spot, people obviously didn't like Spot, but for $74,000, this is right on their website, bostondynamics.com, for $74,000, they are able to basically get rid of benefits, health insurance, get rid of any discrimination, because they can say, they're only looking at actions, they're not looking at skin color. They can basically solve the whole inequality thing that they're talking about, and they can do it in the name of robotics. So I do believe we're going to start to step into more of a surveillance type of environment, and robotics will be perfect for that, because they're moving around 24/7, accumulating data, accumulating video footage. That's going to be something that's going to continue growing. Like, for example, in Honolulu, they're using the robots right now. This is not even a month ago. This is 3 weeks ago. They're using these robots. They've enlisted the help of the robot dog as a means to aid in mitigation efforts. The dog, known as Spot, has been used by the Honolulu Police Department to scan temperatures and homeless citizens. Spot is able to scan temperatures from approximately 6 feet away and then generate a photo of the person along with the temperature on its monitor. Right? Spot, which was bought using federal funds received with the aid for roughly $150K, even though on the website it's half that price. In March 2020, Trump signed $2.2 trillion CARES Act into effect. A person who has a homeless outreach navigation. And they're saying that even Spot's able to assist with food and water to a person. Hono, which opened in December 2019, has reported 1,750 people passed. Out this number, 14 people. Okay, the use of Spot has allowed employees and staff in the department to keep a distance from people as the additional means to combat. This is exactly what I'm saying. So this is what I think happens next. It makes the most sense here. We're going to see the solution here being robotics. That's it. And right, for example, here, there's a hospital ward staffed entirely by robots in China. This was, interestingly, like a couple months after everything happened. This is March 2020. So they've been working on this for a while. So people that think, oh, that's 30 years away or 20 years away, like they already have the examples and they're already applying this. They're gathering information, data, and hospitals from all over the world. My guess would be if I owned a hospital, there was another hospital that was run a bit more financially effectively. Like they're running better margins. They have less risk. I would be studying that model. And, I'm not saying that all hospitals will, but it would make sense for them if they have a big walkout of staff to say, hey, maybe we can solve this and never ever deal with this problem again. So entire hospital orchestrated, right? A new hospital ward run entirely by robots is opened in, you cannot make this stuff up, on a bid to protect medical staff. On March, this is what's crazy to me. They were able to get the entire hospital open and run by robots like just a couple months in. So I don't see how people could move that fast. On March 7th, about 200 patients. So the robots deliver food, drinks, patients, and keep the ward clean. Some have humanoid head, arms, and upper. Really, really interesting. But it goes on to say, for example, right here, Samsung Medical Center begins transformation to become a robot-driven 5G powered hospital. So this is definitely where we're going to start heading to, is going to be more of a futuristic world, a world with a world where there's no more theories about, if robots are going to come. Robots are here. They're slowly rolling out. If you can make a Tesla, and that Tesla gathers data, that Tesla, you can drive it. It's more reliable than almost any other vehicle. It's smarter than almost any car on the road. If you can do that with a vehicle that's several thousand pounds, why couldn't you do that with an 80-pound robot? It seems like it's much harder to complete an electrified vehicle than it would be a robot. One of South Korea's largest healthcare providers, Samsung Medical Center, has taken down its first step toward becoming a robot-driven hospital powered by 5G. The Tertiary Hospital disclosed that Healthcare IT News that it is undergoing an infrastructure assessment to secure stage 6 certification. The 8-stage ladder assists healthcare leaders assessing the map healthcare infrastructure technology capabilities needed to attain their infrastructure goals while meeting international benchmarks and standards set by the model. SMC claims to have pioneered the use of robots in the country's healthcare scene. Some of the work the hospital has done in this area include the rolling out of robots that automatically dispose of medical waste from operating rooms, and the AI-enabled smart caregiver service that checks the conditions of elderly patients in real time. It has also enacted real-time HD video analysis and surgeries by transmitting huge amounts of data via the 5G network. So it's just so fascinating to look at this. And I love to look at this because I ask myself, if I were to transplant myself in 2025, what jobs are going to really thrive? Which industries are going to get really, really impacted? And if we just look at the current trajectory of where the economy is going and where things are going, we have to realize that corporations are going to be pushed against the wall in terms of hiring. You're seeing right now, you're hearing the Great Resignation where, a couple months ago it was 4.5 million people, then it was like 5 million people. Just these numbers are per month. And when you take into consideration there's 157 million people working in America, and you're losing 3%, like 3 people out of every 100 are leaving their job every month at this rate. So what they're going to do is they're going to use this as a way to jam robotics into mass market. There's no way about that. There's no way that doesn't happen. The INFRAM certification, SMC's infrastructure can support its digital innovations. A stage 6 certification is given to organizations that have implemented a campus software-defined networking access capability and a software-defined network with automated validation of experience. Their traffic loads must be manipulated dynamically based on policy compliance monitoring. They must also have end-to-end visibility of service delivery in real time, on-premise, enterprise-wide hybrid cloud application, and infrastructure automation, and self-service portal. So yeah, this is it's a one-stop shop here. But I love how this all kind of like comes together really nicely. So Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg on autonomous driving technology, drivers must still pay attention. They're getting ready to push this forward. It's closely watching electric vehicle space and currently leader Tesla, especially as it pertains to the latter's controversial autonomous driving vehicle features that have reportedly played part in various crashes. Anytime we have a report of a safety issue, that is taken very seriously at the federal level, right? So, and we also have a means to get more information from individual drivers who have had issues. We have got to make sure that these technologies, as they're rolled out, are safe, right? And they have to make clear communication with the driver that no matter how sophisticated or smart your car is, any car that you're acquiring on the market today in the U.S. requires that you are behind the wheel and paying attention, right? Okay, well, you say, okay. But the infrastructure bill says anti-drunk driving technology must be built into cars. So the cars that everyone's going to be driving are essentially going to be equipped to, to do things that traditional cars don't do. So what I think happens is they're saying the mandate, which falls in the $17 billion allocated to road safety programs via autonomous auto manufacturers, will be required to install monitoring systems in new cars in the next 4 years that will stop intoxicated drivers. So you're going to have to do like a blow check every time you go into your car, except you're going to use, from what I was reading, you're essentially going to be able to use your fingertips and touch something. That touch is then going to take samples, and then it's going to allow you or not allow you to operate that vehicle. This is the single most important legislation passed in recent history and says it marks the beginning of the end of drunk driving. Analysts and automakers are paying close attention to the rollout for another reason. Someone said I drive a 68 Volkswagen. Well, I hear also that a lot of gasoline now is getting more ethanol in it, which is going to erode gas tanks faster. It's going to do much more wear and tear on traditional vehicles. So not sure why that is, but that is what's happening from what I've been reading. I would suggest for you to read that as well, or read and learn about that to confirm. As cars in the U.S. become more autonomous, exactly. See, it all comes together. It becomes less clear if the driver or automaker is at fault in malfunctions or accidents. Drunk driving prevention mechanisms mandated in the new infrastructure bill will be an early case study in personal and corporate safety liability. If a drunk driver is able to override a malfunctioning system, is it the automaker also responsible? Right? So you say, okay, but then Waymo will help UPS ship parcels this holiday season with autonomous trucks. So this is no longer 20 years away. This is happening right now, right? So that's what I do think is going to happen. I think that what we're going to probably see, if I had to take a guess, what I think we could very well see is we could see mass people quit their jobs in January and February and March. And then what's going to be sold is, how do we solve this problem? Supply chains, hospitals, police departments, everything is in disarray. How can we solve the problem? And the only way that the problem is solved will be by pulling back on the mandate or driving in with autonomous robotics and artificial intelligence. And that's where I think that we're going to start to see more and more AI and robotics is going to be through the name of safety. And it's probably going to happen much faster than most people think. The autonomous vehicle company said this is a natural step following successful local deliveries of UPS amid an ongoing partnership. You have to also remember, too, that in America we have roughly 3.5 million truckers. That doesn't include Lyft, doesn't include Uber, doesn't include taxis, it doesn't include people that drive for a living outside of traditional trucking. So we're going to have a situation soon where you're going to have millions and millions and millions of people that can easily be displaced, that are going to have a tough decision to make. So I don't say this to spread any fear. Trust me, I say this because I care about the truth. I care about learning and studying where the future is going. I like to share it with you guys, have a conversation with you guys about it, get your 2 cents on it. Because if you're thinking of business, thinking of making money, or starting or scaling something, it makes a lot of sense to understand where things are going and what the competition is going to look like in that specific niche in the next year or two. So the next step, we'll see Waymo deploy its Class 8 semi-trucks. You remember Tesla bot as well. If you guys have ever seen Elon talk about this Tesla bot, he said the job of the Tesla bot, I'm going to pull this up because it's pretty, it's something that everyone should be paying attention about. So this Tesla bot is Elon Musk, right? Read this. Has announced that Tesla will begin developing a humanoid robot called the Tesla bot, designed to perform unsafe, repetitive, so you can think construction jobs, almost any job. You can be like, you can work intersections, you can do, almost anything. Repetitive, which is basically everything, or boring task. So Tesla bot is going to complete unsafe, repetitive, and boring tasks. Tesla robot is one of the first non-automotive use cases of a highly advanced robot technology they have deployed in their self-driving vehicles. Right? This is where they're going to take this thing. They're taking us into this world, and it's fascinating. So right now they have labor groups apparently are pressing for the mandate to go further. So 3 organizations are calling on Biden admin, right, to review the mandate, with some indicating the policy is too limited and applying to only large businesses. This came out 2 days ago. So they keep going back and forth with it. What I think is going to happen is I think that we are going to see that mandate come. We're going to see there's probably going to be a lot of back and forth. But I do think that, unfortunately, this isn't what I hope, trust me. But unfortunately, it looks like that is where this is going to go. And that is going to be the ultimate opportunity for robotics, for AI, and for the digital revolution to really begin to take off before our eyes. What do you guys think about that? Drop your comments, and I'm going to read all the comments too. But yeah, drop your comments. I'm going to scroll through and connect with some of you guys. So soon robots will want robot rights. It's funny you say that because you can't. I guess we're not allowed to. I don't even know if you're going to be able to call them a robot. You might not be able to call them a robot. They might not like that. They might have their own thing. You can't assume. So this will happen when they can not get people to work at Dunkin' or Starbucks. I agree. You think about it like this. I'm sure you guys probably have the same thought that I do a lot of times. You go to a store, you get a coffee, and the person literally just puts the coffee comes down the cup, they give it back to you, and then you pay for it, and then they're staring over it like this, like expecting a $2 tip for a cup of coffee, right? Again, it's what I'm saying is there's going to be ways in which there is no person there. Where you've seen it with Amazon. Amazon has stores now where everything is based on sensor. Everything is based on you check in and you check out, and it's automatically debited from your account. That's the best business model. And no small business, when I say small, I mean 50 employees, 100 employees, is going to be able to go out there and pay 75, 100, 150K for a robot and then fill out their entire shop. I think what we're going to see, though, is these big corporations, if they do step into robotics, which I think is here, if they do step into robotics, they're going to be able to bring the prices down so low to where people are going to look at, what they get from Sally's Deli versus what they get at Whole Foods and say, hey, I go to Whole Foods, I'm going to save 40%. And it's going to be the ultimate competitive advantage because they're going to be able to bring their prices down so low and still make great profits, whereas the other stores will not. In addition to that, McDonald's, a lot of these fast food chains are also working on their own AI and robotics, not robotics, AI, where when you go through the drive-thru, they know your face, they know your license plate, they understand what you generally get, and they offer you appropriate upsells and downsells to pull more money from the customer. So it's a customized, personalized experience. Things are getting different. They're going to get to a point where I think people are going to say, how do I even compete with that? That's why I think right now is just so important. I mean, like, every minute of every hour of every day should be used to benefit us, whether it be reading, getting around smart people, whatever it is, because the next couple of years are going to be make or break. In 3 to 5 years, we're going to just have, I believe, a conglomerate of different companies that basically control everything. We already kind of have that now, but it's going to get to a point to where it's like a one big welfare society. Unfortunately, that's what it seems like to me. Drop your comments if you guys disagree or agree with me. But that's kind of what it seems. So yeah, very send me Marines to North Philly. Yeah, it's a amazing time to be alive, though. I mean, I think this is an awesome ride. We've all had a lot of fun. I think we're all going to have a lot of fun going forward. A lot of opportunity coming, and those that are smart, that are reading, learning, getting around the right people, those people are going to have an advantage, and those people are going to thrive, and their families are going to thrive. So I wish you guys all the best. I'll catch you on the next live stream, and hit the notification bell if you want to get alerted on my next live. All right, guys.